Good evening. Welcome to Global Youth Forum, Ordinary Voices Studios, where we bring you ordinary voices of young people that matter. And on today's episode, we have a team from Global Youth Forum who are willing to share with us the different ways in which they seek to eradicate poverty in Africa, and especially with a focus in Kenya. But before we dive into the discussion, allow me to introduce myself. Valdivia, Virginia. I work as an advocate, and also I work as the GYF ambassador. And I have a focus on gender rights and women's rights. So I also work with FIDA Kenya in terms of promoting and conducting programs that are geared towards eliminating violence for women. And for those who are willing and those who are present to listen to us, allow me to also just mention that I've previously served as a volunteer for Global Youth Forum, where I have served as both an organizing secretary and a chair for the Nairobi County team. And so for today, in terms of how we're going to work with this program, I'd just like to mention that because of the work that I did with Global Youth Forum, I have managed now to be able to impact the same skills in terms of what I do at FIDA Kenya. So especially, I think I'll mention just the 3 skills that I've gotten. There's leadership skills, there's interpersonal skills, and of course, there's the program management and event planning skills. So for today, please, I request you and beseech you kindly be willing to listen, be willing to ask questions, and feel free to dive into the discussion. And so as we are proceeding, allow me to introduce our chair for the Board of Advisors, Mr. Gareth. Welcome to the session, and feel free to jump in.
Hi, Val, welcome, and thank you for inviting me along today. It's absolutely great to be here, and part of the team. We're doing wonderful things with GYF, so it really is great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So Gareth, feel free to also introduce yourself. What do you do? And of course, the change that you're willing to see in terms of what change you want to see in the world. And of course, the last but not least, how did you learn about GYF, and what attracted you to GYF?
Yes, well, the change I'd like to see in the world, that's always a tough question, isn't it? But if I liken it to everything we do in GYF, really is about bringing it back to our vision, our mission statement, and our operational side of things. So ultimately, it's to eradicate poverty in all the rural villages of Kenya, one home at a time, using the power of sport, because we believe there's a huge power in sport. And we achieve this vision by creating a self-sustaining community and things. We don't do anything that's not going to be self-sustaining. It has to continue on once we immediately leave. So the change in the world I'd like to see, coming back to your question, I'd like to see people being inclusive, the inclusive side of humanity. I think we're far, far more alike than we are with our differences. And therefore we can celebrate our differences wherever we are in the world, but we need to be positive and be inclusive and recognize those differences. Now, how did I learn about GYF? Well, I'm also heavily involved in the Scout movement. And I was a trustee at the time when I met Peter, who was working over here in the UK at headquarters in Essex. And Peter struck me as someone who was a guy who was going to go somewhere. So I first met him then, but that was a number of years later before Peter's enthusiasm and energy came back again. And Peter asked me to undertake a small piece of work for him. That small piece of work has ended up being much bigger. And I'll come on to that later as we look at how we're going to move from being a small organization to a leading NGO. And that is going to really be our driving force over that time frame. But we come to the other really important thing is the values that we place on things. And that's our integrity, our personal integrity, our respect we have for each other and ourselves, the care we take of others and ourselves, the beliefs. We recognize people have beliefs and those belief systems, and therefore they're important as well. They're part of the makeup of people, and we respect those. And cooperation, we want to make a positive difference, and to do that cooperatively is a real big thing. And then finally, For me, it is all about encapsulating and following through. We actually commit to do things in that very positive way. And, you know, there are things that I disagree with that go on, but I absolutely believe that young people are our driving force of today, and it's their energy, their, how can I put it out, their willingness to pick up the baton and go do. And it's for people like me to support and ensure that the right things are there in the right time frame for them to do that, because they are our today, not just tomorrow. They are our today.
Thank you so much, Gareth, for that beautiful introduction. And as we move on, I'd just like to point out some of the thematic areas that the Global Youth Forum is focused on. So for starters, we have poverty eradication in Africa. And then we do have youth employment, youth-adult relationships, sports, and employment. So based on today's presentation, also allow me to welcome Justin, who is also one of our very serious volunteers in terms of what the work that we do. So Justin, feel free to jump onto the discussion and of course share your highlights.
Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, my name, as you have heard, I'm Justin Mokua. I'm a student at Machakos University, a fourth year. I'm pursuing Bachelor of Arts in Public Administration. Apart from being a student, I'm a volunteer at Kenya Red Cross Machakos University chapter, and also a volunteer at Global Youth Forum.
Okay. So, Justin, being a volunteer of Global Youth Forum, what is the one change you want to see in the world? And of course, before you answer that, how did you learn about GYF? And what actually attracted you to joining GYF?
Okay. How I learned about GYF is a friend of mine who sent a link, GYF link to WhatsApp group. I looked at it, I joined the group, and through following the activities of GYF, I saw GYF as a very serious organization. So I was very interested in joining GYF. Yeah, one thing I've learned so many, not one thing, I've learned many things from GYF. One thing, I was that person who was very shy talking to people. Through GYF, they have empowered and mentored me to have confidence to talk to people. So you see, GYF helps people to build confidence. Again, another thing is about honesty. GYF, we advocate for honesty. You have to give honest results. For volunteers, when you are given assignments, if you can't deliver, you have to be honest. You say, this one, I cannot deliver. If you are able to deliver, also you say, I will be able to deliver. So honesty is another thing I've learned. Also, again, giving excuses. I was that person who always used to give excuses. But since I changed GYF, nowadays I find solutions to problems, not giving excuses. There's no problem which I'm unable to find a solution rather than giving excuses. You see, if we stop giving excuses to problems that we have and we seek the real solutions to those problems, we will be able to solve all those problems without any excuse.
Yeah, thank you so much. And of course, just to finalize this, what is the type of change you'd like to see in the world?
Okay, the type of change I want to see in the world is a world where each and every family is able to afford a basic meal, afford a better education. There is no gender discrimination. That's the world I want to see. And GYF, we advocate for inclusivity. At GYF, we advocate for inclusivity. No person, regardless of the gender, age, should be left out. That's a world I want to see. Each family is able to afford a meal. You see, a child who can't afford a meal cannot go to school. A child who doesn't have access to better education cannot change the situation they live in. Education is the only weapon which can change or liberate the family from poverty. That's where the change I want to see in the world.
Okay, thank you so much for that brief, Justin. And of course, I think I'd just like to ride on your point in terms of accountability and openness. I believe as a volunteer for Global Youth Forum, that is one of the qualities that I've seen with a lot of the activities that we do, whereby a lot of management is actually very open and honest about how we conduct our business. And of course, allow me to share just a brief about my journey with GYF, and especially my first activity, which was a car wash activity at the university. I'm sure you can see the picture on your screen. So I was able to organize this as part of my role as organizing secretary. And I think, of course, this was the first time where I got to deal with stakeholders, external stakeholders, which of course was a challenge. But then, of course, the beauty of it was I got to learn a few skills from the activity. So, of course, one of the skills I was able to learn was leadership skills. As being the pioneer of the activity at the campus, I had to be able to mobilize as many participants to come and assist us, and of course, do a lot in terms of the budgeting, in financial budgets and planning of the activity. And then, of course, critical thinking and problem solving was another skill I learned. Being that our first activity at the campus, of course, we had to find resources and people who would be able to engage on that. And I do believe this skill was able to shape me into the person that was able to conduct that activity. And last but not least, of course, there's the interpersonal skills. And you, of course, if you're working with people, there's different mindsets, different backgrounds, and having to learn how to manage each and every person, then it makes it easier. So I think interpersonal skills also has allowed me to also use the same skills that I learned only from this car wash, and also use it in terms of the work that I do with Feeder Kenya. So thank you so much for that. And of course, moving on with the session, I would like to welcome Peter, who is our CEO of Global Youth Forum. Peter, feel free to jump in, introduce yourself, share your inspiration, and of course, why you started GYF.
All right, thank you so much, Val, and nice to be in the house with you. Wonderful team. So obviously, my name is Peter, founder and CEO of Global Youth Forum, and our aim is to eradicate poverty, just like my colleagues have shared and have alluded to in this particular call. But before I dive right in to share more about what I have today, I got two children over here, Child A and Child B. So for you who is watching this online or who is following us through, please do feel free to give me an answer either on the chat or on the comment. I'm really keen to hear your thoughts. So Child A goes to school with a bus. This child is picked from their home with a good bus, and they have nutritious food, like they have breakfast, they have lunch, they even have dinner at school. They have laptops, or they have even smartphones in their schools. They got good sports equipment, and they got quality teachers. And they have even flats as their classrooms. But then Child B walks to school. This child even have to cross even rivers. They don't have even shoes. And this Child B goes even 2 to 3 days without proper meal. They don't have electricity. They have no playing ground in their school. Their teachers are teachers who are not even with degree or diplomas. They're like people who are like from high school, just dropping out to come and give them a hand. And they learn under trees, as you can see. They don't have even chalk. They use these stones to write. So as you think around that, maybe in the team, just 1 or 2 minutes, I want to hear your honest thought. Between these two children, Child A or Child B, who do you think will realize their full potential fastest? You just go to tell me A or B and just support your answer before I move on. So you guys dive in. I'm also keeping my eyes on social media to see anyone watching. So you guys can put a comment there so I can see if somebody will get this one right. I can start with who wants to jump on first. So I just hear.
I think I'll start. Yeah, for me, I believe that Child A is more likely to realize the potential much faster, most especially because as a child, of course, their basic needs are provided for them. So they would be more likely to engage in co-curricular activities as compared to Child B, who probably has to worry about, getting the basic needs. And of course, one thing that I've learned in terms of my experience most poor families, you do find that the children are actually exposed to child labor. So you, for the child B, chances are, as much as they come from school, they'll more likely go back home and assist the parents in terms of working and getting a few extra coins for their basic needs. So in my opinion, child A will definitely be able to access their potential much faster, and because they have most of their needs provided for them.
Oh, okay, thank you so much, Val. Justin, do you want to jump on before I get to Gareth?
Yeah, I can jump on. My answer is child A. You see, child A has access to everything which he or she requires, as compared to child B. The time child B spends, for example, walking from home to school, already child A is in school reading. This time spent on looking for electricity in order to find a place he or she can sit and learn. Child A already has that opportunity. So, and from real example, you cannot learn if you have not taken any meal. You see, child B has no any meal. 2 to 3 days, my friend, you cannot concentrate in class. So child A is more likely pass.
Okay, thank you so much, Justin. I'm with you. I'm looking at my stomach and I'm like, Gareth, jump on there. I want to hear your thoughts here.
You see, I think it depends. Nothing is ever straightforward in life, is it? I think there's a place where you can argue that the drive to achieve is far greater for the person who is struggling, and therefore they will overcome adversity and learn a whole different set of other skills as well on that journey, and life skills which are absolutely key, which we'd have to teach to the child A who had achieved everything and everything was provided for. So there is a very peculiar balance in life, that it's not necessarily right or wrong. I absolutely agree that we need to eradicate poverty and we need to move away from people, and young people particularly, starving. That must not happen. However, when in that position, how people respond is the real key to this. And I think there's an argument that can just say, no, it can go the other way. It gives a different set of skills.
All right. Okay, team. So I'm in here and I'm wondering, I'm even confused. Should I go for Val? Should I go for Justin? Or should I go for Gareth? I'm still thinking. But listen, I want to tell you, maybe Gareth has got points, and maybe Val and Justin got some valid points here. But for you watching this and you are from Kenya, I want you to start thinking. Imagine you go into a bigger school again here where you have all these resources and you score an A in this, like you can call Val, you can talk about Kenya highs, like these big schools. And you have a student who scores A's, and you have a student who comes from that bag, like that student, that child B, who comes from studying from under a tree and still scores a B. Let me give you a true story. That is my photo somewhere. That photo, we were 3 boys. After taking our KCSE some time back, and I tell you, I'm one of those children. I'm one of the children on this particular slide up here. I fall under slide child B. And I'm really proud of it. I'm so proud to have been a child B brought up. And this is for a number of reasons. It taught me several things that make me feel I deserve to give back to my community. And from that, I tell you for a fact, we could go 2 to 3 days without food. And just like to echo what Justin said, not only like, not sure, maybe people I have in this house, they might kill me. I know Gareth loves rugby, but the sports, the football I did love. I want you to relate that to Justin's story, and you have an empty stomach, you want to pass exams, and you want to play your football. And Justin had an answer for us. So immediately I finished my primary school, I did stay 1 year out of school, 1 full year. And that can tell you and can justify how I went 2 to 3 days without food, because if my family could not afford to take me to high school that I wanted, then I had to stay out of school. You can imagine that. And I also got punished for playing football when I joined high school, by the way, and that demoralized my morale, and I wasn't so happy at all. With the empty stomach, with all that, I still wanted to enjoy my sport, and I still really wanted to make that impact. I don't know if you can see this is right arm and right ankle. I dislocated those with this, my football thing that I sing every day. So just like if I try standing, that's my t-shirt. It's always on me, and it's stuck in my head. I think football. But then a group came, probably Gareth. Here is where, like, Gareth in his introduction talks about scouting. And what struck my head, I know I have a community in Kenya. I know I got neighbors, but why couldn't they give me a hand to go through high school and to also go through university? Did it have to have, or did we have to go outside the county to have other people to come and give me a hand to go through my high school and even to university, when we had people around me who could see that? I'm just still thinking around that one. But why I brought this up is to appreciate this particular charity organization in the UK for seeing my potential, believing in me, and giving me that chance to be who I wanted to be. Sponsored my high school, supported my university, and I've even worked in the UK. I've done a few other things. And this is just to justify for you why that child B can and should be able to still realize their full potential and should still celebrate, as opposed to mourning about these particular things. I've done a number of things despite all this background and all these particular things, but few things on this slide stands out for me. When I was punished, like let's say when I was at university, I established a Rover Scout from the scratch. And that Rover Scout group became one of the best performing clubs in that particular institution. And this is because I was a child B. I learned in the process. I actually learned how to get things done. And my club was one of the best, planting trees, organizing college events, and doing so many other things. And you can see our photo there. My boys are still with me up to today. I ring them, I call them, and we talk. And it is like a club in there. And when I finished my high school, I joined university. And in the university, obviously, I've just touched about the Rover Scout that I formed with my other friends and did go to be the best club at the university. And then I graduated and secured a job as a marketing officer and a resource center manager. A resource center manager means you manage a library and resources that go with that. And I was also made a football coach. So I didn't like sitting in library. I'm not that type of a person who sits down. You put me down, like put me out, I'm interested. So the biggest part of this job that I enjoyed the most was the coaching part. And every single weekend, every single time, we were able to host a tournament or like a friendly matches. So this went, and I accumulated a list of 32 football teams. And together with the Rotaract Club, which I was a patron to, we organized a money footy, and that photo down there is my team. And we raised 500,000 Kenya shillings to a drug rehabilitation center. And I want you to link this to my punishment in high school. So what I was being punished for doing, I raised a lot of money to support a community. And that inspired me to want to do more. So when my contract ended, obviously Val is there, Val, we love this one. We had a symposium, by the way. So before my contract ended in this institution, we organized a symposium that brought 68 young people together, and I shared with them what I actually wanted to do. Maybe Val wasn't part of this one, but I'm yet to find out. But I know Val was at the initial stages when this was coming up. So 68 people attended this event, and from that event, we recruited 30 volunteers that started. That is back in 2015. And when my contract ended, I used all my savings to set up a football tournament at the Jamhuri. We called it Jamhuri Futsal Championship. Value were there when we were clearing the field. We are marking the field with Unga. And then now the governor of Mombasa County was our first guest who came in to give us a hand. And why I have Young African Leadership Initiative on there, I used the application. I applied for this role using the results I got from the Amani Footy and the Football for Peace. And I was admitted under entrepreneurship. This was a flagship program by the 44th President of the United States. So when we were joining here and Justin told me about confidence, that organization built my confidence. I felt being selected for this opportunity meant I did something for my community. And I wanted, now I wanted to do things. And that's why I have that there. But now things turned around. When I had started this in 2016, an opportunity comes and I traveled to UK as an international staff team for the Essex International Jamboree, an event that comprises of over 10,000 scouts. And I just give my best, if you see what I mean. And I saw an opportunity for the Scout Adventures. And when I came back to Kenya in 2016, I'm like, I want to learn more about outdoors because I felt Kenya, we were still lagging behind based on the things I saw in UK. So I'm like, I want to go back to UK. Then things worked out. I went to UK and you see Gareth now sat comfortably in this particular room. There is where we met. And still, I'm still that child B, still struggling, still trying to make ends meet, trying to learn, trying to get things going. Along the way, we managed our first community-based organization. We registered that in 2016 in Mombasa County. And 4 other members mobilized their own friends. They registered their own groups. And when you heard Ambassador Val talking, the Nairobi team registered themselves, Nakuru registered themselves, CI registered themselves. So we've managed to register the community-based organization in 4 counties. We've done 12 football tournaments, bringing 108 football teams, and probably above 35 corporates have joined hands to give us support. And just last year, our Global Youth Forum under Football for Peace got accepted under the UN SDG action, under the UN initiative called Football for the Goals. And what this then made me feel like, oh, we've been working hard and we've been doing something. And just before COVID struck, that was in 2019, imagine having Barclays Bank being our corporate of the year by just supporting our molding for work and wanting to support more young people and drive the change that we do want to see. And then this brings me to, I know value, I want to just jump on before before you ask me, but I know you are going to ask me. What change do you really want to see? I want you to look at my story, that child B, all those things that child B goes through, the challenges this child has to pursue before they realize their potential. And I will agree with Gareth that, look, we do not have to take children through that particular sort of things, like without food, without all these things. So all I want to see, for me, I want to see a world, or I want to contribute to a world where every child has access to food they can eat. If I can, like, I really just want to do that. I want to see a world where children have access to quality education, leave alone this studying under trees and doing all these things. I want that quality education that helps children probably even do their sport, the sport that they like, and they want to enjoy it, and they want to contribute towards the realization of the Sustainable Development Goals. Because of mentors and coaches and trainers, I am who I am today. I'm here because of Gareth. And Val, you know what we do, and Justin, you know what we do. I really love children to have their best coaches, their best trainers, who can show them the way, who can give them the light and tell them that, listen, you can do it. It doesn't matter whether you studied under trees or you are where, you can still just do that. So purely, Val, that is for me and the journey for Global Youth Forum that inspires me every single day. And I really do just want to keep doing what I do. And I'm always glad to be working with you on this particular dream and journey. So thank you again for listening.
Thank you so much, Peter. I think that was a very insightful session. And of course, after your explanation, I do believe that child B can actually be able to, perform better than child A. Because I also love the fact that you have also tied the child experiences in terms of your own experience. Because I also believe, based on my experience, I would fall under child A, but also compared to how we've both pursued our professional life, I do believe that if I had been in a place where I'm not accessing a lot of these things, it would have pushed me further to do it, because again, I feel there's a laxity with a lot of children, who fall under A, because we have this idea that we will get whatever we need to get because it has always been there. So thank you so much for sharing your experience. And to the listeners, allow me just to share our hashtags while you're also sharing our platform. Kindly use the hashtags GYF for SDGs, hashtag molding for work, hashtag together we are strong. So kindly feel free to share this activity. Feel free to also join us and use the hashtags in terms of promoting what we're doing. And so as continuing with the session, allow me now to bring on board our next speaker for the day, Gareth. I'd like to welcome you back and also just start by asking you, what's the bigger picture of GYF? And of course, what's the team composition?
Yeah.
So feel free to jump in.
Yeah, thanks, Val. Very interesting. As you gather from some of the things Peter is saying, we do tend to think big, and there is nothing wrong in that, because by thinking big, we can achieve some really, really great things. So for me, what's the biggest change we're going to go through in the next 24 months, really, in all, is to become an NGO, a fully fledged NGO. We believe wholeheartedly in what we do and the way we do it. We work in a way that is slightly different because we are very output based at the point of delivery. So it is about actually young people and supporting and helping them at that point of delivery. We don't want, yes, we will have some numbers that we can repeat back and stuff, but actually it's about the impact that we have on the ground rather than anywhere else. So for me, it really is tying up that piece. Now, to help some of that achieve that, we've got a board of advisors. Currently, there are 7 members of that board of advisors. We will also be generating a board of trustees that will manage the side of it, along with the executive team. And that executive team currently has 3 members in it, and we're looking to expand that. And the core volunteer team is made up of 5 volunteers, although they run other volunteers underneath them. So it is quite a structure that is really quite flat and is about going out and doing and achieving what it is we need to achieve. Everything we do, we keep tying back to our vision of no poverty. And that is absolutely key. Otherwise, if it doesn't get back there to that point, we don't do it. And that may sound harsh, but why get caught up in a whole raft of things that we don't normally engage with? So if it's there, we do it. If it links back to our vision, our strategy, and the way we do it. If not, we don't. So the advisors, the volunteers, all are part of that. And Val, as you well know, we also have an ambassador. We would like some more, and I'm sure we will have some more. But you've set a very high standard and a very high bar for anyone that comes after. So I thank you for that. So eradicating poverty in Kenya is the key goal currently.
Thank you so much, Gareth. I'm honored to be part of the team, and just following on with the conversation, Justin, I wanted to loop you in. What role does GYF play in terms of contributing to shape the agenda?
Okay, thank you, Val. Before I answer the question, maybe our viewers are asking, how did Justin become a volunteer at Global Youth Forum? Briefly, I became, after I told you I joined the WhatsApp group of Global Youth Forum, I followed closely their events from, that was 2021 June up to December 2022. That's where I saw an opportunity for volunteer recruitment, and I applied. They'd given us the assignment, did the assignment. We are so many of us, and submitted the assignment. After submission of the assignment, we were invited for an interview. And through an interview, that's where I got selected as a volunteer. And after there, we appointed a volunteer representative who is Mikari. It's not in, I stepped in an assistant volunteer representative. So if you want to join, that's how serious GYF, that's how serious GYF is. Not like other organizations. You see, even volunteering, you have to go through examination to see how serious you are. Are you willing to work as a volunteer at Global Youth Forum? Going to your question, Val, Global Youth Forum works at ensuring the youths in Africa secure employment or are able to create employment through empowering them with the relevant skills required in the job market. As Global Youth Forum, it has empowered like me through the skills, leadership skills have empowered me with. I was able to apply for a certain job this year in the month of April, and I was able to pass. That's how GYF serious it is, and their skills are so good that they empower the youth in their fields. Yeah, we are working out in ensuring each and every youth in Africa has an employment opportunity or creates employment. It's not a must you be employed in an office and sit down. No. As Global Youth Forum, we are working out to ensure if you cannot be employed in office, what other work can you do? You are given the skills, you are empowered with the skills which you can create your job opportunity and employ other youths. And through that, we will be able to eradicate poverty in Africa and the high unemployment rate, which is in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justin. Wonderful, wonderful insights. And just so before I give in to the next speaker, let me ask you, what are you excited about in 2023 for GYF?
What I'm excited about GYF, it's all about networking. GYF gives opportunity to network with various people, like-minded people who will empower and mentor you, train you. Like me, the GYF executive, they are mentoring us to take the leadership positions. Some years coming, you will see me as a board of advisors. That's one thing I'm so excited about GYF.
Thank you so much, Justin. And I like the fact that you actually pointed out that with GYF, as much as you're volunteering, it's actually very serious work. And I do believe that for volunteers like yourself, it's much more easier to gain from GYF once you actually put effort into it. So thank you so much for actually sharing that experience for yourself. And then, of course, now I'd like to, of course, bring back our CEO, Mr. Peter Omondi, where I'd just like to ask you, what plans do you have that will ensure you and your team that they will actually achieve the goals that you've set out for the organization?
All right. Thank you so much again, Val, for this opportunity to again jump on listening to you guys, you, Val, and Justin speak, and obviously Gareth. I'm like, I want to go, like, I just want to blow the world, and I want to give more impact so we can have more young people go, like, just change the world in our small way. So you guys inspire me, and you get me moving onto these things. So I'm like, I want to go play, and I want to bring more young people into that. But listen, my friends, Val did just ask about the plans we have. I just looked at my diary and I realized we have had 7 years and 8 months in the making. And I will still take you to that child B. And what that child B really means, like 7 years, 8 months. And Val, you know, we speak about this, and sometimes Val was telling me, like, I'm blessed with patience. And you can imagine that those years of experience, now we want to put this into real results that will impact communities and will get us to move somewhere. So for me, the plans we have obviously is setting a team, the dream team. You see the 4 in-house in this house, you guys, I believe in you 100, like over 1,000%. like you can deliver results. So for me, the first step will be to set, or we are like in the course of setting a dream team. And once this dream team is set, obviously I speak about football every single time. And for you who love football, Gareth, I know will call me and try dragging me into rugby. But all these elements, we need a strong team. So mine will be to establish a really dream team that believes in the vision and the power of young people to drive the change, not just through talk, but through real action. I don't, like, sometimes I find young people being used as scarecrows. Like, you sanitize things. We don't want that. So it is much of building a team that believes in the power of young people. And then the second thing, Val, I will give you just 5 really quick. Second one is building partnerships, meaningful partnerships. I just don't want to partner with people. We want to partner with people who believes in the power of young people and their ability to change the world. And then about the resources, mobilizing resources and capital to empower these young people. And what we aim to do along those lines is to set up activities or projects that will sustain our endeavors and probably help us go do our things without going out there to ask for more of things or even these donations. Establish a sustainable program that will help us run through. And then the next one, this is exciting. Mentor and coach the next leaders, the next cohort of leaders. Soon, I'm not going to be a youth. Soon, I will be like Gareth, but who will take the mantle after us? So it is a matter of preparing the next leaders, the next batch of leaders that will take the mantle after us. And then the last one will be co-creating with young people. We just don't want to listen to young people and then hear their ideas and then just say, you go away. We want to listen to them, bring them to the table, and then co-create with them and then implement with them. So purely, Val, that is for me. And probably I will welcome Gareth to probably now just dive right in to tell us a bit about these programs that we have, because we have 4 major programs that you introduced. So probably, Gareth, it's the time like you take us through what you have in terms of molding for work.
Okay, thank you, Peter. So if I may just share my screen, if that's okay.
Yes.
So just go back to it. Right. So molding for work. Molding for work is a somewhat interesting piece of work. It's an intensive course that's made up of 6 months program, which provides a mix of classroom learning and delivering e-learning and learning by doing. And we absolutely believe that, and recognize that people learn in different ways. And it's about giving them a set of skills that enable them to move forward in that very positive way. And get into work. So at the end of the course, everyone should end up with a work position. Now we are looking for partners to come on board and be part of that. And that can be everything from some kind of forestry work, or it can be into office space, it can be into finance, it can be, but we believe that the core skills, the life skills that people need are the real key here, and delivering those life skills are the essence of what we achieve in the molding for work piece. So what does that kind of look like? And we have 3 main modules to fit in those 6 months, where people will look at their online self-branding, how they present themselves and look and feel, establish and maintaining relationships, and both online and offline. And then also we're going to look at some skills about how you write your CV, and you base it for the design of the role you're going for, and research the company and research the skills that they're after. So you hone it down, replay some of the words back to them that they're using on their websites, because that will endear you to them. And you also are showing that you're understanding them. Unit 2 is more looking at the passion, values and goals that you have, and how you want to achieve that and how you plan that. So, you know, problem solving, creative thinking and critical thinking in that space. Managing time. If you're going to go out in business of any kind, whether it's your own business or wider, you actually need to manage your time. So what are the key skills in doing that, and how do you achieve that? Communications. Yes. Communicate. And then module 3 specializes in the leadership skills and your self-management, and again, critical thinking, creative thinking and problem solving. These are the things that put those life skills back together, and the things that are demanded very differently from when I was at school, but they are demanded nowadays by employers, and if you want to get on anywhere. We've heard about Peter's story. Peter's a very good example of someone who is achieving this right now by these mechanisms. So if you ever want an example, just look at Peter. So molding for work is literally what it says, molding the people with the skills so that they have them to go live and go into a job at the end of the 6-month period. And that's, I'll hand back to, is it yourself or Peter, Val? I think it's Peter, isn't it?
I think it's Peter who's going to handle that.
Yeah.
All right. Got it. I think that was intense. And again, this is an insight of what can be done when people are molded to real work and when they are prepared, just like not make them look like the child be so desperate and those children need to be really helped. No, it is just how could we turn that into a positive way so we can like actually move forward. But again, here now, like I'm looking at what Gareth have shared and what like I'm like, Gareth, that one was yours if they were to say, Gareth, like good molding for work. But for me now, I chime in with this other one, my friends. And I want to jump on and talk to you really quick on this particular spots for SDGs that like there is where I thrive. And you remember my story, how we raised $500,000 Kenya shillings to a drug rehabilitation center. So for the sports for SDGs, obviously we started with football, and football can now stand alone, and we are now building, we are going to have our tournament this year. So the structure is, we have categorized, we have come up with 17 sports. Each sport, we have assigned an SDGs, but anyone or you out there watching this and you feel like you have a sport that is not included on here, you can just include and just be creative. For example, for us, I will pick 2 sports and I will get into one and then Justin will jump on and share the other. For me, talk to me about football, my friends. It's right there. So it's goal 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. If we don't have peace and strong institutions, and Gareth did talk to us about our values, if we don't have these strong and justice institutions, we won't get anywhere. So for the football for peace as an element of the sports for SDGs, and just linking this to an initiative that we are part of, football for the goals, what we want to do, we want to organize a county tournament. How we started was inter-county tournament, and I did share a bit of figures on there. So what we want to do this August is to organize a tournament with 12 teams, 4 male teams of over 18, and then 4 female teams of over 18, and then include 2 like boys and girls team of under 15 years, and then we play in a tournament. We will reward them, for example. And then other friends in other counties can also borrow our model, because we are looking to do this around end of August. So you guys can run your own tournament in your own county, and we can sync together and champion for peace, justice, and strong institutions. Because our bigger aim with our upcoming tournament, we want to raise funds and resources to take young people through our Molding for Work program. And purely that's a bit of football for peace. And I welcome Justin to also tell us something that we are building in terms of the archery for the goals. Justin, do you want to jump on?
Okay, thank you, Peter. Also at Global Youth Forum, we are working out in number 3
All right, so there we go, probably just internet right there, but Justin was to come and share a little bit about the Archery for the Goals. So what we aim for in terms of the Archery for the Goals, look, we are aiming to help young people get jobs. And another person will jump and ask, look, Peter, if we don't have these jobs, where will we get them the jobs? Well, with the Archery for the Goals, we want to establish 3 target archery ranges in all the 47 counties and establish our own archery league and probably produce the Olympians from Kenya. They can go to UK and play Archery GB. Because for me, when I was in UK, by the way, Gareth, I was trained by Archery GB, and that's where the passion for archery came in. So you
Wonderful.
see now the child B. So moving on and grabbing these tips and now wanting to put them into use. So being an Archery GB instructor, we want to work towards establishing archery ranges in Kenya and prepare more Olympians to even go out. So every single range, if set, will employ 5 young people straight away. So if they graduate from our molding for work with outstanding grades, we absorb them into our Archery for the Goals. They can help us with the marketing. They can help us deliver sessions. They can help us in coaching and mentoring other archers. So that is the bigger picture of the Archery for the Goals. And then obviously, Val, jump on and talk to us about the Ordinary Voices. Yeah, your sector, because you love it, I know.
Yeah. Thank you so much, both Peter and Gareth, and of course, Justin in absentia, for really breaking down what GYF is aiming to do. And of course, for Ordinary Voices, in terms of what we plan to do, we plan to have almost like a mentorship session for a lot of young people in terms of what are some of the changes they want to see. And so Ordinary Voices basically allows young people of this generation to actually share what are some of the challenges they face, what are some of the benefits they have actually faced in terms of seeking or securing employment for themselves. But most important is that we want to create a platform for young people to actually share their authentic voices. Because again, we do realize that a lot of the things that we do, especially as a country, there has to be almost an authority or some superior force that actually acknowledges some of these things for us to be able to get the change we want. So for Ordinary Voices, our main aim is ensuring that we provide a voice for some of the young people who generally do not have a voice in their own platforms to be able to raise some of the issues that young people are facing. And of course, as part of Ordinary Voices, and of course, as Gareth and Peter have both mentioned, it is tied to the Molding for Work program, which allows the young people to either secure or create employment for themselves. So as Ordinary Voices, we aim to actually give young people opportunities for them to be able to speak about some of not only the challenges they face, but some of the things they think that other young people should be able to pursue. So basically, Ordinary Voices is going to be really a mentorship session for a lot of young people. So we look forward to, of course, having, of course, our listeners on board. Some of you may want to share your input. So feel free to join us. Feel free to reach out for GYF so that we can be able to create these opportunities for yourself. And of course, create a voice, for some of the needs that you have. So basically, that is what we're going to do with Ordinary Voices, Peter.
All right. So again, thank you so much, Val. Just to echo that, you see that child B cannot be even given a chance on a podium. My first podium was on BBC Look East. I think that was the first, like from that under tree, Gareth, to going to BBC Look East, like the local one. And you remember my story, my local community, my local community wanted me to be a cobbler, if you see what I mean. You know who a cobbler is? But then you can imagine, like now from down my local, like they can't allow me even to be next to mics. They can't allow me to be next to radios. But then I moved, I'm on BBC and I'm like, I'm looking east and I'm like, oh, this is good. This looks really nice. So yeah, so shout out to all our friends, my UK scouts, guys, I deeply appreciate it. You've always given me a stage to always shine and to do stuff. So Val, you will be raising the voices of that child B. It doesn't matter how that child B looks like, we will go find them and bring them on board. So purely that's the 4 programs that we have. And now Val, again, back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Peter, of course, for the contribution that you have made. And just before I let you go, kindly point out what are some of the SDGs that GYF is focused on achieving.
I almost forgot this one, but But yeah, we like throughout our talk, you guys might have noticed that no poverty is one of the goals which we are keen on. Quality education, which is goal 4, and goal 3, good health and well-being, that is goal 3. And then looking at employment, decent work and economic growth, that is goal 8. And then looking at sustainable cities and communities, goal 11. And then looking at climate action, goal 13. And then peace, justice, and strong institutions, goal 16. And obviously, partnership for the goals. This does not mean we are not working on the other ones. Like you see in here, 2/3 gender rule. I know Mwikali is not in the house, but some of these things, we don't just talk about them. You come into our team and you see the composition, actually how it is looking like, and we like try to embody them. So those are some of the goals, Val, that we work on. I almost forgot that, but there we go, friends. And that's why, again, Val, we have sports for SDGs. And just to add on that, every single time we host a tournament, we want to ensure that we take probably an environmental action where even teams can plant trees and then we can nurture those trees. So it is like when we play, we replace our oxygen, by the way. Gareth, when you go play rugby, maybe we need to plant trees along the rugby spaces. But there we go, Val.
Thank you so much for that. And as we are finally concluding our sessions, I'd just like to ask a few questions to our guests. So Gareth, allow me to start with you. So what role did volunteering play in your career?
Well, go. You dropped out then. Sorry, Val.
Oh, apologies. I was saying, what role did volunteering play in your career?
Okay. Back into my work career, quite a lot, actually. I was very fortunate that I worked for Hewlett-Packard, HP, and I was allowed 14 days annually to volunteer. I had to log that with them, but I was allowed to do so. It was absolutely key, and HP believed that volunteering actually grew and developed the people, its own people, and actually made them better citizens. So all the right, I was, yes, give me more days. But it was enabled that to those people who did go and volunteer to actually have the freedom to be able to do that within the week and what would normally be their work time. So it was great. And it really does make a difference to you. You feel as though you contribute. You feel so the organization gets something out of it, and you do as well. Volunteering is good for you.
It is. So thank you so much, Gareth, for that. And Justin, what's the topmost challenge that you think young people in Kenya are going through, and do you see any solution to this challenge?
Okay, there are so many challenges, but let me take just two. One challenge most youths in Kenya are facing is unemployment. Unemployment is one of the challenges which has affected so many youths, which has made them to involve in social crimes, which distress their lives. And as Global Youth Forum, that's why we are empowering youths in order to ensure if you have not secured the employment, why can't you create an employment for yourself instead of engaging in clients? Again, challenge number 2 is time management. As youths, time management, that's where you have another challenge. We use most of our precious time and doing things which are not of benefit, instead of using this precious time we have in doing things which may move us forward. For example, instead of youths using most of their time on social media, doing things which aren't of benefit, why can't we use this time to learn certain skill, a skill which will empower you, a skill which will move you from your status quo which you are before. Yeah, we need to manage our time well. Without proper time management, we will still be in poverty and in the same status quo. So it's my call to the youth is let's use our time well in doing things which are of benefit. Yeah.
Thank you, Justin. So Peter, let's just jump onto our parting shots as we of course conclude the session for today. So Peter, we'll start off with you. What should be the what things that the public expect from GYF in this year and beyond?
Straightforward, my friends. GYF is coming. We want to change the world, and we want to do it in a transparent, with lots of integrity, with lots of honesty. So we welcome anyone to join us and support us, support the youth, drive the change we do want to see.
Thank you, Peter, for that. Gareth, if you were to give a call to your generation about the future of the youth, what would that call be?
Wake up. Enable young people. It is their passion, their energy, and their drive, with some guidance from us oldies, that will empower them to make those big changes that they thought were impossible and actually need making.
Okay, thank you, Gareth. And last but not least, Justin, if you were to ask the young people, what is something that they can do to make the world a better place, what would that thing be?
Thank you, Fal. One thing for me is taking the responsibility. Yeah, ensuring each and every person taking the responsibility, moving the world to where you want, not calling upon the government to move. No, it's me and you who can move the world to where we want it to be. It's not our parents who can move you. No, it's me and you as the youth who can move. So we need to develop that mentality. It's us and us only who can move the world to where we want it to be or where we want to see it. So let's take that responsibility and do whatever it takes to move the world to where we want it to be.
Thank you so much to all the guests, Gareth, Justin, and Peter.
If I may interrupt and just ask you a question, if I may, and that is, what is it as an ambassador you believe is the key message you need to get out there about GYF?
I do believe that as the ambassador of GYF, I would like to really change the mindset of young people, especially in terms of volunteering, the volunteering experience. Based on the work that we've done as GYF, we have noticed that it has been a big challenge getting the youth to actually, volunteer genuinely, because there's this mindset where young people believe they should be paid. As much as it is a volunteer experience, they do believe that experience or the exposure is not adequate enough. So finances play a big part on that. So as an ambassador for GYF, I do believe that one of the biggest message I would be able to promote is that volunteering actually does work, because I am a product of GYF in terms of the work that I did with them, and it has allowed me to use the same skills that I gained from that to work with FIDA Kenya. So for me, I would really work towards painting a picture that volunteering is not that bad. It's actually one of the beautiful experiences you can have just to grow yourself in the professional life. So yeah, thank you so much for that question, Gareth. And allow me to conclude this session for today. It has been a beautiful session. It has been a very wonderful session. Thank you to our guests, Gareth, Peter, and Justin. Of course, looking forward to working every day with you. And as I conclude, allow me to just call to the young people who are listening today, and of course, afterwards, after the session, that we will be planning to have a Career Connect session on 26th of May, just to basically speak on some of the aspects that Gareth had mentioned in terms of personal branding on LinkedIn, CV writing tips, and of course, cover letter writing tips. So for all the young people, I call upon you, save the date of 26th May, same time in terms of 4 to 5 p.m. And we shall, of course, be discussing these aspects that will allow you as a young person to either secure or create employment for yourself. So once again, unless someone else has something to say, thank you for your time and looking forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye.